Hamitakuepe. Ambeti washte. Hello, my relatives. Today is a good day. Until we start talking about colonialism, imperialism, economics, politics, education, health, etc., etc., etc. And then we get into the downer part of patriarchal living. I'm going to do an immediate series here that leads to matriarchy. Excuse me, I hate the word archy because it denotes royalty, the 1%, matrilineal living, the matrilineal way of life, the matrilineal worldview, the matrilineal universal view, which is indigenous, the indigenous peoples of the world. But before we can get to the matrilineal way of life, we have to talk about the negatives, patriarchy. Now that's the archy that is true, patriarchy. You know, let's just, excuse me, let's just take a short look at patriarchy. It's really not that difficult to grasp. Patriarchy. The man's on top of a pyramid. I've talked about this before. He's on top of the pyramid. He's the ruler. It's in every structure he has devised. And so therefore he's alone. And when you're alone, you feel abandoned. You have fear. And fear rules. Now, patriarchy, you know, is, like I say, every structure. His religions, his government, his everything. He has structured in the world is based on that pyramid, the man on top. So he looks around realizing that other men are trying to get to where he's at. So he's got to protect it. That's fear. And he'll do everything and anything, including conspiracy. All right. So the world is dominated. The family, the religion, the politics, the economics, etc., et al., by the patriarch. And again, I'm going to reiterate that the patriarch has never come out of the cave. He still believes the only way you settle a misunderstanding is with a club, albeit he has a very sophisticated clubs now of all types. Nevertheless, the mentality has not changed. He's a caveman. A stinky caveman. Why anyone hasn't woke up to this fact, it's beyond me. Especially you women. But I'm not there yet. Have patience. Everything travels in a circle. Everything that is sacred and holy and good is round. At any rate, the patriarch. Let's just look at something contemporary, like Iran and Syria. The corporate media, especially of the United States of America, but in collusion with England. We have all of these, what should I say, propaganda, lies. Let's look at what could be done. Why is it that this caveman can't talk to Iran? Why say, hey, wait, we're the most powerful nation in the world. We know you're not going to attack anybody because our flunky, Israel, will wipe you out. And we'll do the same. That's what America should be saying. So we don't want to go there. There isn't any need. Let's sit down at the table and work this out. Why not? It's called diplomacy. Isn't that what the United Nations is for? The United Nations is not for this, the bumping of heads. The United Nations is for relationships and improving relationships. At least ostensibly, that's their founding premise. Now, Syria. You know, this is a blatant attack by the United States with its proxies. The United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, probably the worst dictatorship in the world, Saudi Arabia. Just think, they've had over, what, 50 beheadings this year? They've beheaded protesters, non-violent protesters. Look at Bahrain, where the Fifth Fleet is headquartered, doing the same thing, killing its own people for peacefully protesting, and then jailing masses, hundreds and hundreds of them. I mean, talk about a blatant double standard, and it's so obvious, and they don't want to talk. Like civilized human beings. They call themselves the greatest generation, or the sons of the greatest generation. Bull. Let's see. They don't want to talk, they just want to, I'm the big man on the block. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to put a shield of missiles around, this is their plan, their announced plan, around the Middle East, around China, and around Russia, all aimed at those countries, including India. Don't make any misunderstanding, because India's flexing its independent muscles and on the economic stage of the world with the BRICS. So there you have. The next thing you know, they're going to say they're going to build a missile shield down in Mexico aimed at South America. But what they're doing is the last gasp of an empire. Now, those of you that are not Demopublicans, you grasp what I'm saying. I understand that. This is just a reminder. But you see, as America sinks into the quagmire, the quicksand of its own creation, on behalf of the 1%, their last gasp is to be the bully on the block, or the bully in the schoolroom, whatever metaphor you want to utilize. Now, their last gasp is to be tough, is to threaten, thereby thinking they can control the world so that somehow their economic morass that they've created will correct itself, and once again we'll have a consumer nation. That's over with. The empire's done. everyone's woke up to the fact. The BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, they're going to start their own international banking system for the rest of the world. Another choice besides Europe and America. Okay? Another economic way of life. Wow. Also, America is losing its money as the international currency. That's a huge hit. Understand, while all of world trade was done in dollars, the Fed, the misnamed Fed banking system, those 9 private banks that control the currency of America, they could print money willy-nilly. You know, funny money, monopoly money, whatever you want to call it. They could print to their heart's content because the world was dependent. And there was just a moderate, less than moderate amount of inflation in that approach. But now that it's no longer the international currency, and it's becoming less so as we speak, that can no longer happen. And they're scared, and their only way a fearful man can react is with his caveman mentality. Now we've come full circle. So this has been a very, very short lesson in patriarchy and the results thereof. And if you don't believe me, those of you who like to read, especially those of you who like to read history, just read a few books on some of the empires that rose and fell and the mistakes they made, because that's what the United States has done. In other words, the patriarch is probably the dumbest animal, the only dumb animal on earth, because he's alone. What's the answer? Stay tuned. Matrilineal Way Live. Duke Shake. I hope to see you again.